We all heard the legends, yogis who can walk on water, materialize objects, or appear in multiple places at once. Stories of saints who never ate, never slept, yet radiated peace that could melt the hardest heart. But here's something most people don't realize: the most powerful yogis never talk about their powers, they avoid it entirely. Why? If these abilities are real, why hide them? Stay with me till the end, because by the time we are done, you'll understand that silence, not speech, is the true signature of power. In the yogic tradition, these powers are called siddhis. They are not miracles or magic tricks. They are natural byproducts of an expanded consciousness. When a person's energy system becomes extraordinarily aligned, when their mind, body, and prana function in total synchronization, the boundaries of ordinary perception dissolve. At that point, what we call supernatural becomes simply natural, but at a higher level of intelligence. For example, a yogi might sense someone's emotions without words, heal through intention, or influence the elements subtly. Sadhguru once said, if you walk the path of inner transformation sincerely, certain powers will naturally blossom. But if you stop to admire them, you will never reach the destination. That is the danger. Fascination. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. You are halfway up and you see a breathtaking view. You stop there, mesmerized. You forget the peak. Siddhis are exactly that. When the seeker experiences even a small taste of power, maybe a vision, a moment of clairvoyance, or a spontaneous healing, the ego gets intoxicated. It whispers, you are special. And that's how most people lose the real goal. True yogis know this. That's why they stay silent. Because even speaking about it, even subtly identifying with it, can pull one back into illusion. The ego feeds on separation. I am powerful. You are not. But spiritual growth is the dissolution of that separation. So, if one begins to take ownership of power, the very foundation of spirituality collapses. Sadhguru once narrated that in the ancient yogic schools, students were not even told that powers were possible. Only when a disciple became utterly stable, where nothing could disturb his inner stillness, the Guru might reveal the existence of siddhis. And even then, he would say, never use them, never even mention them. They are just distractions dressed as gifts. That's why, in yogic circles, talking about one's powers is seen as a form of spiritual immaturity, like a child bragging about toys he doesn't fully understand. Why silence? Because power only remains pure in stillness. Once you speak of it, you create ripples of curiosity, pride, and fear, energies that contaminate its purity. Think of a calm lake. Drop a single pebble, and the reflection of the moon shatters. Similarly, when a yogi opens his mouth about inner capabilities, the mind begins to stir again, and stillness is lost. That's why enlightened beings speak only of how to reach the source, never about what happens after you reach it. Because the moment you start talking about powers, the focus shifts from transformation to performance. What power serves, not rules. That doesn't mean siddhis are evil. They can be used, but only by those who have transcended themselves completely. In rare cases, masters have used their powers to protect life, to restore balance, or to awaken others. There are ancient stories of yogis calming storms, resurrecting the dead, or blessing entire villages. But these acts were never done for show, they were done out of pure compassion. As Sadhguru puts it, when you become empty, the universe functions through you effortlessly. But if you claim even 1% of it as yours, it stops. That's why the greatest yogis let grace do the work, not willpower. There's also a practical reason yogis never reveal their powers: protection. Because humanity in its current state is not ready to handle certain forces. If someone discovered a way to manipulate matter or energy through consciousness, can you imagine the chaos it could create in the wrong hands? That's why deeper sciences of energy, the real core of Tantra and Kriya, have always been transmitted one on one only to those who are morally and energetically stable. Power without consciousness always corrupts. At the highest level, every yogi realizes that the greatest power is not to move mountains, but to sit unmoving within yourself, to remain unaffected by pleasure or pain, gain or loss, life or death. That kind of mastery doesn't need to display anything, it simply is. As Sadhguru beautifully said, the highest siddhi is to be free from all siddhis. Because when you're no longer impressed by miracles, you have become one. So, if you ever come across someone flaunting their spiritual powers, remember, the loudest ones are rarely the deepest. True power doesn't perform, it transforms silently. If this exploration helped you see the subtler side of yogic wisdom, share it with someone walking the spiritual path. And if you'd like to keep diving into the mystical side of existence, subscribe. Stay tuned and keep your inner fire alive. Because silence is the loudest roar of the divine.